Okay, Andrew, I'm going to take a break from writing the true worship page because I think we need to work on JavaScript a little bit. So what we're going to do is go here and say new file, and then when it opens up to a new file, go to save as and save it as learn JavaScript. You can put it anywhere. I just put it in our true worship page right next to our index. And .html. Okay, this is going to be an HTML file. And then open it up in your browser over here. And then go ahead and give it the cancel. I just want to save this page. Give it, the bare bones. The bare bones of a HTML file. And then inside the body, we would normally type, all of our divs and everything. And at the end, well, let's go back to our index.html. At the very end down here, I have two script tags just before the body closes. And in these, we're calling a separate JavaScript file. And we're not putting anything inside of these tags. And essentially what it's doing is going and reading that file and putting the text of that file into this tag. We're doing it a little different this time. We're not going to call another file. We're going to write our JavaScript right here on the HTML page, just so that we can see what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to go here and refresh, and our page has a title of JavaScript, and that's up here at the top. And there's nothing in the body, so nothing shows up. The first thing we'll do is, just so you understand how it works, is document, if I can spell it right, document.write, and then parentheses, followed by a colon or semicolon, and then you can put some text in here. Hello world. Okay, save that and refresh it, and you can see that it wrote hello world out on our screen. It displayed it. All right, so there's that. Well, let's try another one. Let's try alert. Alert with parentheses and a semicolon, and we'll say hello world again. Okay, this time it's going to give us a dialog box from JavaScript that says what we told it to say. Alright, so there's two things you can do with JavaScript, and you can see that whatever is in this script tag gets run whenever the page is refreshed. So it gets run one time whenever the page is refreshed, unless you're telling it to continue running. JavaScript is what's called a client-side language, scripting language. In other words, when I say refresh, I have just sent a request for this file to the server. Now, the server happens to be my personal computer here, but it could be somebody's web page. I sent a request to get this file from the server. In this file includes all of the script to be run. And then when that file lands back into my browser on my client computer executes the script locally right here. That's the difference between a client-side code and a server-side code. PHP is a server-side code, and so I push, refresh. I'm asking for this file and say it's a PHP file. Well, the server does all the work, and then it just sends a result back to your browser. But the client side works on your browser right here, and there's benefits to it. There's benefits to both kinds, but we're going to be learning JavaScript. Now, first for JavaScript, there are variables, and so to make a variable, I know you've done live code, and that's totally different. It's a little more intense with JavaScript. Use the keyword var, and then you name your variable, my variable, okay? And then you can put a semicolon. Now, I've declared a variable right there. Now, I can go and I can say my var equals hello world. All right, and then put a semicolon. Every line of JavaScript ends with a semicolon. That's like a period. And then I can go ahead and so document dot write, and then I'll just call that variable my var. All right, so what's going to do, what I've done is I've declared a variable, then I've given that variable content, and then I'm going to write it onto the screen. So let's see what happens when I refresh. It did exactly what we thought. It put hello world there. All right, you can do this another way. You can say, instead of just declaring a variable and then giving it content, you can do that on the same line. Hello world. Okay, so I've declared a variable and given it content at the same line. And it does the same thing when I refresh. All right, so that's a variable. Variables can also be numbers. You can just give it a number without quotations. If you put a number in quotations, it's going to treat this variable as a string. But if you take it out of quotations, it's going to treat that as an integer, which is very important because integers can be, used in mathematical equations. Strings cannot. So if you're going to use it for a number, make sure that you don't put quotations around it, around the number there. So if I, refresh it, it's going to output 5. So let's say I do number 1, that's a variable name. And then I do var. By the way, we can, I'll show you 2 ways to do this. You can say var num2 equals 6. And then you can say var my variable, again, equals num1 plus num2. All right, and then I'm going to output my variable. So it's going to add these two together. And because they are treated as integers, it's going to mathematically add them together. I get 11. All right, so you can see how that works. Now, let's say I made these strings. It's a string of 5 and a string of 6. And I do the same thing here. It's not going to add them and make 11. It's going to put 56. It's going to add the 2 strings together. So that's how that works. So we can say hello space and world. And it says hello world. So hopefully that makes sense. Now you can also do if statements. Okay, so let's do the other thing I wanted to show you. Come on, Matthew. You can put a comma and do it this way. Now, I'm simply making this all one line. It would work if I did it like that, okay? So this is all one line. I'm declaring the variable number 1 and then variable num2 all in one line. And for neatness sake, we can enter and make them all in a line like this. All right, so let's say I have hello world. Let's see. Let's just make this, goodness, var. I don't know what I did. It's something crazy. And then put a comma, and var2 is equal to world in quotations. Now we want to do an if statement. If statements are, you have the if there, and you have parentheses, and then you have curly brackets. Inside the parentheses is your test. All right, so if var1 is equal to, and it takes two equal signs. Why, I have no clue, but just remember that. In this way, you're making this equal to that. Here you're testing if these two are equal, and it takes two equal signs. So that's something you have to remember. If var1 is equal to var2, let's see here. Just say it is. So, and it did not say it is because var1 is not equal to var2. But let's say I made var1 and var2 equal each other, and I said it says it is. And we can also have an else in here, else, and then more curly brackets, and we just I use the new line just to make it look neater. And so oops, we'll put this, it is not, okay, so we can see what's going to happen. Right now I say go, and it says it is because they are equal to one another. Let's change them again. Now it's going to say it is not because it ran this bit of code. So you can kind of understand what's happening here on an if and else statement. Let's see here. What else do I want to show you? I think that's all I need to show you for right now. That gives you a pretty good start into how JavaScript works. Let's go. I'll wait till the next video. In the next video, we'll add some JavaScript to our real HTML document here that we're working on, and see how it looks. All right.